They're good.
Radiological alarm. Poor man did.
So I will say that I take my hat off totally to these actors that not only jumped out of the screen at us, but moved themselves and moved our story to a much higher level. It would be impossible to have done it without Hyatt and Joella and Hilo.
Next question.
What he was just saying kind of resonated with me, because what I wanted to get up here and ask and say was that, for me personally, what made this show so good was it had a great plot, but it was the relationships between the characters and the way they were portrayed on screen that just made this transcendent for me. And so my question is, when you guys had a little bit of freedom to make your choices in how you portrayed your characters, were there any choices that you thought were a little controversial but came off really well, or any choices that you made that you kind of wish you could do differently?
Well, my not being with Billy, well, that didn't work out well for a lot of people. Yeah, I was so ready to have that relationship with the Billy character. I was so excited about the possibility of us being this young love and struggling through our outside circumstances and then within our relationship, and then it all just went so sideways. And I struggled a bit with the relationship with Lee at first, because I was like, you know, as girls do, he likes me? I didn't even know he knew I existed. I'm like, I'm his dad's communications officer. But I remember the moment, actually, and it's funny because they saw it. I know now that the writers saw it. Mark Verheiden was on set that day, and I had an interaction with Apollo in the hallway, and I don't know what it was that day. I was feeling frisky, but we said something, and then he walked away, and I remember I played with my hair, and I looked back, and I looked at his butt. And I didn't think anybody noticed it, but the camera knows everything. But I don't know, preparation for relationships? No, you prepare yourself. You know who you are. And then, as Eddie always eloquently says, you just be in the moment with another person. And we're very lucky that each of us was so in love with who we were there to play and was cast so well that there was a lot of freedom to just be with one another as the people that we were pretending to be.
You know what? You just made me think. They probably set me up.
Oh, they definitely
You know what I mean?
set
When
you
I
up.
came into that set and there was so much kind of mistrust, that's totally the plot, right? Those SOPs, Eddie.
Oh, they definitely set you up.
They set me up because I come into this world of mistrust. It's like, Jesus, I don't think I've been that bad a girl. When did I get this reputation? And then I just went, well, screw you. And nurtured it. And that was the character and the situation. Do you put that past them?
No, I don't put it. That's exactly what they did.
Oh my God, I done been played.
The mind of Ron Moore is a vast and complex.
Son of a... God.
Next question, thank you.
I have a much lighter question for you, and that is, for each of you, what's your favorite and least favorite sets to work with during the show?
Space.
Oh, the actual physical sets?
Yeah, space sucks, man. Don't go. I've been on that set. It's so dark. There's nothing comfortable to sit on except in your bedroom, and we didn't get in there much. There's nothing green. There's nothing organic. It sucks.
Really blunt life. Now, the sets, go ahead.
Well, I mean, for a long time, I had one set. I was really excited when I got to
get up and walk in the hallway. Hallway. And then I was like, oh man, now I'm gonna wear my pants. A lot of my buttons worked though. Like there were tech guys up on the screen, so like the screens would change, like you would hit buttons and different things would happen, so that was fun for a while.
We had there was about 5 or 6 guys that were upstairs in a room that I photographed during one of the scenes when I directed it, that were doing everything that happened was for real on that ship. I mean, there would have been no difference had we been out in space doing exactly what we're doing, because all the electronic worked, everything. When they were chasing us, we were being chased. You could see it. Oh my God, it's getting closer. Oh, they shot at us. And boom!
It made it easy, because it wasn't like the strip be going, bang! Closer, closer, closer. No, we just watched it.
It was amazing. The technology that was on the set was amazing. So I would have to say that the C.I.C. was truly the gift.
Yeah.
That space was amazing. And then at the very first, during the very pilot, the very beginning, we were at a different studio, and the stages were connected. So they were like this size, maybe they were bigger than this room. And you know how you can open this up, and then there's another one of these rooms right here. And if you open that up, there's another one of those rooms. So that that's what they did. They opened up everything, and they put the entire Galactica on one set.
You could walk through the ship.
Yeah, when you walk through the ship, you'd get lost. Literally.
Literally lost.
When we hit another stage, once the series started, they split us. They split the 2 capsules. They split the whole ship apart. So you couldn't do that anymore. The first scene that you ever saw when Starbuck is running through the ship, and she's running and seeing everybody, and it's about an 8-minute segment at the very beginning, and she hits everybody. You see everyone. You see me, and you see Ty sitting there drunk against the wall. She sees all the different people, but that set was the most magnificent set I'd ever been on, because you were in it, and boy, the detail you talked about, the devil being in the detail. Boy, oh boy, this guy, Richard, did an extraordinary job of set production. Production designer was just amazing. And that to me was the key to the whole, the belief that we were really important to ship. Because when the camera started to roll, it really became a reality. And then everybody was documenting that reality. And it really helped the show immensely. So for me, I have to say that the feeling on board when you walked in there, but you couldn't find your way out. Once you were once you were in C.I.C., you could not find your way out.
I can't tell you how many times I've walked into dead ends, or like, ooh, oh no, wrong room. Oh, a bed. Take a nap. So our time's nearly up. Should we blap through some questions real fast?
Oh.
All right, this one's for Mr. Olmos. I read this on the internet, and many of you know truth to it. My wife's always telling me not to believe what I read on the internet. But someone said that you were actually approached to be the captain of another starship once, and you turned the role down. So if that's true, what made you pass on that and say yes to this?
Yeah, I was asked to do Star Trek after they killed Kirk. And, I was right in the middle of doing a major piece of work, the first one of its kind on television, which was American Family. And it was a piece of work that was broadcast television. It was the first time broadcast television that put a Latino family on the air, ever. And so I went to pilot that one. And there was a great, respect that they had for me to offer me that. But I turned it down. And people thought I was really gone. They said, you've just thrown away billions of dollars and your career. You could have been somebody. And, I just said, listen, this little show on PBS is not Star Trek, but you know what? They have Star Trek is already set. They don't need any help. So I went to the other show, and I turned it down. And then when they gave me this, I was at the Latino Book and Family Festival that I put on every year, and I have for the last 17 years. And so I was at the festival, and they sent me the script for the pilot. And, you know, Battlestar Galactica? Hello? You know, I did Blade Runner. I don't need to do any more science fiction. It's enough. That was my crowning jewel. I'm not going to go higher than that. This is it. I didn't want to read it. And then my family read it, and they said, you should read this. I said, oh, Jesus, you and my agents. So I did. I read it. And I read the first 3 pages of this, like, preamble that I don't think you read, but you might have read it. I'm not sure. It was 3 pages that Ron Moore wrote about what the show was about and how it was.
Bible in the beginning.
I read that and I just said, holy shit, this is extraordinary. The guy was a stone serious writer, and I didn't know Ron that way, and didn't know of him. I didn't know he was the guy who killed Kirk, you know, and had written like a lot of episodes of Star Trek and done a lot of work in writing. So I just said, read it. And so I read that first 3 pages, and it just completely turned me around. And then I just opened the first page, and man, from the very opening, from that scene when, you know, the girl's walking, 6 is walking down the hallway, and she goes up to the guy and she kisses him, and the place explodes. And you cut back to, and the way he described how the show was going to be shot. And so I just read the whole thing in one sitting, and I said, I'm in. I'm totally in. So it was really simple to understand why I did Battlestar Galactica. And the crowning jewel of the whole thing, had I done Star Trek, they would have never asked me to do Battlestar. I would have lost Battlestar. There would have been another Adama.
I think we have time for one more question.
Thank you. This is for Miss McClure. September 10th is World Suicide Prevention Day, and I hate to end on a downer, so instead, I will thank you for making suicide a conversation point with your portrayal, and ask if you still want to talk about it, if you would. Otherwise, I'm happy to go to the next question.
Do I still want to talk about suicide? I'll keep it brief. Thank you. I didn't know that, and yeah, it is. I take it on to be sort of a spokesperson for something that is uncomfortable for a lot of people and brings up a lot of feelings. But I think it was beautifully handled in the show, and I'm happy to talk about it. But I do want this gentleman to ask his question because he was in the back of the line.
It's kind of bad. I don't have a question. It's mostly. I mean, everyone in this room appreciates the genius of Ron Moore and Bill McClure and everyone who made that show amazing. It was an ensemble cast. But the reason I got up, because I went to bed at 6 a.m. last night, the reason I got up this panel was to say, Edward James Olmos, you breathe a life into that character, and just that story about how you brought music into that show it's just a beautiful story, and you could see it in your action. I mean, the minute that I saw you in that standoff with Pegasus episode, talking to Admiral Kane.
I wish I could understand you.
Yeah, we do
is
have
it
to
two?
keep it really
Slow
brief.
down.
Yeah, talk real close, put it right close to you.
I had no sleep last night. I think you're a brilliant actor, and you made that show incredible. I mean, everyone made that show incredible, but you did. Like, you just breathed life into Admiral Adama in a way that just made that, brought that world to life, and it was really amazing to see.
I just know one thing. I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it today.